Hi everyone, so my name's Morven and I'm the General Manager for Southwest Mull and Iona Development, or SWMID is what we call it, and I'll refer it to that throughout this presentation. SWMID is a development trust, a community company. We're not for profit, and we are incorporated as a company limited by guarantee. Our operating area is the southwest of Peninsula of Mull and the island of Iona, which it says that on the tin. And yeah, I'm just going to talk to you a bit today, so thank you for having me. So we're all about supporting a thriving and resilient community. That's our aim. Our vision centres around 4 elements. So we've got people, which we will have a balanced demographic, and our area is home to a diverse range of people with different backgrounds and skills. Home, members of our community are able to access the housing that they need. Economy, there are a wide range of business and employment opportunities with a lean towards year-round employment. And environment, so recognising the importance of the natural environment to the health and well-being of locals and visitors, and working towards reducing our carbon footprint. And as it says at the top, we're community-led and we're community-owned. So we deliver a range of projects to help us to work towards achieving the vision that I've just described. We own Tyrone Community Forest, which is a 763 hectare commercial forest, and we own and manage that on behalf of our local community. We have the Columbus Centre, which we lease from Historic Environment Scotland, so there's a lot of collaborative working there. And this is where our own offices are, but we also sublease to 2 different community groups. So us having a share in the Columbus Centre has meant that it's enabled a community gym in our area, which is a massive asset, and also a retail space for our local arts and crafts makers to be able to sell their stuff. We also have hot desking too. And then there's Bendoran, which is really exciting. It's a shoreside site which we own on behalf of the community, and that will be the site for the shoreside facilities for our seaweed farm, but it's also the home to Bendoran Water Sports, which is a newly formed social enterprise. And finally, Airfada Seaweed Farm, so it's a 6 hectare community-owned seaweed farm in Loch Screedon on the Isle of Mull, and I'm going to spend more time talking about that just now. So why seaweed farming? Well, you can see the aim is to create a financially viable, environmentally sustainable and socially beneficial seaweed business. But it centres around a few elements. There's people in place, so developing a sustainable business and kickstarting an industry in our area will create opportunities for local people. There are environmental benefits to seaweed farming. It's a sea-based crop, so no land, fresh water or fertiliser, and it also absorbs carbon dioxide, nitrogen and phosphorus and reduces the acidification of the seas. It also leaves our wild kelp forests alone. The wild kelp forests are so important to our biodiversity and in the oceans as well. And also we have the site at Bendoran, which has enabled all this to happen really. It used to be a boat yard, which was an amazing community asset and really benefited local people. And then it was sold about, 15 years ago, and it got turned into a site for holiday accommodation. So that's it there now, and SWMID have bought it back, and it's perfect for our shoreside facilities for seaweed. It gives us access to the sea, as you can see. And it's also a perfect site for the Bendoran Water Sports Club, which I've already mentioned. And that's a sort of organisation that's set up to charge visitors to the island a commercial rate for sailing and kayak and paddleboarding, but local people get to enjoy these things for free. And it's been an amazing addition to the community in terms of health and well-being and just generally for fun. There are also a range of exciting market opportunities associated with seaweed. There's so much potential to create products to replace other more carbon-intensive compounds. So there are biorefinery opportunities, bioplastics, aquaculture and animal feed, and also the human food market too. So how did it happen? Well, collaboration is crucial, and we've been really lucky to be able to learn from a range of people who have helped us and been willing to share what they know about seaweed farming as well. We got funding from Highlands and Islands Enterprise at the beginning. We were able to commission the Scottish Association for Marine Science, SAMS, and also Delfinity Limited to carry out some feasibility work about seaweed farming. And through that, SAMs were able to actually help us identify the best site for the farm. We worked with our Girl Aquaculture consultants who have been with us throughout the whole process to advise about seeding and harvesting and all sorts of stuff, and also Inverlissa Marine Services. Now, Inverlissa are a local company based on Mull. They have a very successful mussel farm, but also have a range of service boats as well. And we collaborated with them, and they collaborated together to ensure that the farm was designed well and designed for our local setting and designed for loss breeding. And with that, local support was actually invaluable at the time. We got funding from the European Maritime and Fisheries Fund to put the infrastructure in for the farm. And we also got a large donation from an investor who wanted to support us. We had to work with the Crown Estate to get our lease of the seabed, and we worked with Marine Scotland to get our seaweed licence as well. We now have what is one of the biggest seaweed farms in the UK, and it's under community ownership as well. So yes, I'm just going to quickly talk through how it works, just so you can see, because I guess a lot of people wouldn't really know how a seaweed farm works. We're only just learning, to be honest. You'll see that in the picture, that grid-like sort of structure is the farm itself. It doesn't have any seeds on it in that picture. That's just the actual basic infrastructure. So it's 6 hectares in size and divided into 3 2-hectare rectangles. We were able to deploy 6 kilometres of seeded line with, and the line is seeded with Saccharina elatisma, which is sugar kelp. And that went into the sea in October, and it's growing really well, and we will be harvesting in April and May. We have the potential to scale up to 30 kilometres of seeded line one day. Not quite ready for that yet. That's a massive undertaking, but we have the potential. And we were able to use 6 people, local fishing boat and a rib to help us deploy the seeds. We've also leased part of our site to another individual who wants to try seaweed farming, and in return they provide us with skills and help with maintenance and give us help. So it's a really good partnership. So yeah, so opportunities. Well, 30 tonnes of Scottish kelp is a really massive opportunity. We're selling our product to a biorefinery, a food company, and also we hope to embark on some of our own research and development this year and investigate options for creating our own locally based seaweed food product. We're also looking into selling to animal feed companies as well next year. It's a community-owned business, and so any profits, when we eventually make some, will be reinvested back into the farm or into SWMID or into wider community projects. There's been an employment boost in that we are employing a full-time project officer and also an income boost to our fishing community because we hire local boats to carry out the work and maintenance and use local bodies to help with anything that needs done. But I want to touch base a bit more about that in the next slide. And learning, it's a great opportunity for learning, and we're always learning, and I expect us to be learning about this business for years. It's going to take us a while. I think in terms of challenges, there was a change of direction with our buyer early on when we were about to put our seeds out, and that they had wanted to buy our wet seaweed from us, so just a raw material straight from the sea. And that was going to give us time to work out our plans for processing. So we'd do that for 1 year and then get ready for next year and have our own processing facilities. Due to that change of direction, we've had to act really quickly and are in the process of putting freezing and drying facilities on our site at Bendoran at the moment. It was terrifying at the time, but it's actually been really good to make us think ahead and to really consider what we can do with our product and to pretty much just get on with it. So it's not been all bad. Another big challenge is competition. Seaweed farming in Scotland is in its infancy. We need to learn about it. We need to learn how to do it effectively and efficiently. And we also need to work out how we scale up. But at the moment, whilst trying to do that, we're competing with countries with already established and scaled seaweed farming industries from across the world. So that's a hurdle that we're trying to overcome at the moment. And I guess the only thing I haven't mentioned is time. We began thinking about seaweed farming in 2017, and it's taken us till now to actually get a farm in the water. Yeah, it gives an idea about how long it's taken. So Emily had invited me to talk about sustainable practices in the seaweed cultivation, but more widely as well about the journey to a just transition and the skills that are needed for that. But I think from our own experience, people are key, and there's no other way to say it really, people are key. I think we need to ensure that people and communities have the access to both developing their skills and also using their skills. And I just want to talk through a few examples from our experience about what we've experienced through that. So we've benefited recently from funding from the High Graduate Support Programme, and we were able to employ Lee, who's in the first picture. Lee moved to our community before COVID, as our partner lives here, and the only work that she could get was to clean holiday lets. Now, Lee's a molecular biologist, and through the High programme, we've benefited from having a knowledgeable and talented individual work as part of the Seaweed Farming project and to be our project officer. And she's a real asset to the team. And I think that's something we can be doing, is considering who's in our communities, what skills they have, and how do we enable them to use them. And the second thing I want to touch on is the local fishing fleet. I talked a wee while ago about how we've injected income into the fleet by contracting fishermen to help carry out work on the farm. But, you know, sometimes it's also about learning from the people that you know. And when SAMS chose the potential farm sites, they had given us a choice of 5, and we chose the one that we liked best, the one that was best for SWMID, really. So we showed it to the fishermen because they are a really important part of our community. And that wasn't done in a public meeting, that was done pretty much standing on the pier in the rain. But when they saw the site we had chosen, they said that they weren't comfortable with it because it was covering good fishing ground. So our response really was just to say, well, here are the other 4 sites, you choose the one that suits you best, and it isn't going to be a detrimental to your livelihood. And not only did this build up trust, but it means that we benefit from experienced skippers and their boats to assist in our activities. I say that the seaweed farm has boosted the fishing community, but in truth, I think that the fishing community have boosted us. I also want to touch on SAMS just quickly, only really because I've talked about them quite a lot, but they're an amazing marine research resource and a really big asset to Scotland. And we've found that we've been able to access a lot of help and support and knowledge from them throughout our journey. And I think being able to take advantage of what's on your doorstep is really important as well. And SAMS are soon to be launching the Seaweed Academy, which is going to be a way for anyone interested in cultivating seaweed to learn about it from the start. So I think that'll be really important. And finally, on a more personal note, University of the Highlands and Islands, I think they're an amazing resource for the UK, to be honest, and they've played a key role in my journey. Living in Benesson and Isle of Mull with 3 young children, I was able to study for a degree from home in rural development. It's an amazing resource, and to be able to study online allowed me to kind of work towards a qualification in my own time. And I talk about studying online, but this was pre-pandemic, it was 12 years ago. So people didn't really do a lot of that back then, but it was tailor-made to suit people in communities like mine to be able to still gain qualifications. It not only led to me getting my current job, but it changed my whole perspective on the world and my views and how I felt about things. And I don't think that I'm exaggerating by saying that it actually did change my life. So those are a few examples of how learning and having access to skills development and skilled people has really impacted on us. I really just want to finish up with some closing thoughts. So as we move towards and focus on the just transition, in terms of skills, we need to really ensure that people and communities, no matter where they live, can access the training needed. And that should be at the centre of any plans going forward. Local people and communities, as it says in the slide, are best placed to own and manage their own land, assets and resources. And in addressing the climate emergency, we must ensure that they are equipped to do so.